Alright, Green Thumb Gardening family. I'd like to respect you from right here at the Green Thumb Gardening channel, right here in Grove Zone 8B in Tipton, Georgia. And in tonight's video, we're here inside of our high tunnel greenhouse here. We brought you guys a video about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago about the Sago palm that we were germinating or growing from these little pods here that grow again along the trunk of sago palm trees and also around the base in the soil of sago palm trees here. We showed you guys the progress that we had made with the sago palm pods at the time. This is the one that we had here with these others. At the time we had this one, and that one down there on the end down there. We since added another one that we had sitting over there to the side. We planted another one here. We also planted a sago palm tree seed here that's already in the process of beginning to sprout. As you guys can see that little sprout there on the end down there. Only been about 9 days on that since we planted that seed right there in the soil. But at any rate, as you guys can see, since our last video, this particular sago palm tree that we're growing from, again, one of these pods has really taken off. I told you guys, once these things sprout, they really grow at a geometric rate. They, contrary to popular belief that sago palm trees grow slow. They really don't grow slow under the right growth conditions. As you guys can see, this thing is probably already, oh, what you guys say, 10 to 12 inches tall already here. Again, it's been about 50 days, not 35, 60 days, not 50 days since we planted this pod here in a mixture of peat moss and plain sand here. Again, we told you guys in our last video that we really don't water these things that much once we actually plant them in the soil and sit them in the somewhat semi-shaded area. We haven't watered this one that much because they're just pods and they don't have roots and they're not really drinking up that much moisture, so you don't want to have them in soaking in wet soil or have them drowning in moisture before they germinate and begin to sprout roots. Anyway, you guys again can see we have good growth here at the top, and that's typically an indication that there's good roots beginning to form along the bottom of these pods. So we're going to actually pull this pod out of this soil here and check the progress on our roots here. We already have a 1 gallon container here mixed with some soil here that we're going to plant this sago palm tree in, if indeed it's rooted well enough for us to transplant it at this point from this tiny little 4-inch container again over to this 1 gallon container we have here. We'll go ahead and pull this thing out, see what we got going on here. You guys bear with me. The one thing about these little pods is they contain these thorns that are very unforgiving. They'll stick you and they're not very pleasant to be poking in your skin. I'm pulling this thing out of here, trying not to get stuck at any point here. Let's see here. Pull this thing out and show you guys what we got going on. It's been about 50 days, I think. You have any roots? Bam! Look at those roots down there. Can you guys see that? It's been about 50 days and we have a ton. You guys see that? A ton of roots growing from the base of this sago palm pod here. And that's why we're getting all of this fantastic growth here up top, because we have such a finely developed root system here at the bottom. At this point, I'm going to pause this camera. I'm going to go ahead and get this, because I don't have my tripod out here off my chest mount. I'm going to get this sago palm tree planted in its new 1 gallon container here, and I'll bring you guys back in about 5 minutes. Hang tight. All right, Green Thumb Gardening family, we're back. That didn't take long at all. Here at this point, we're simply settling our newly potted sago palm tree in its home here. What we're simply doing is we didn't pack the soil down around this pod. As you guys can see, we only planted this pod at about the same depth in this new container as it was planted in its previous container. You never want to bury this thing completely beneath the soil because that can lead to the entire pod itself rotting. So again, we're not packing the soil down around this pod at all. Simply agitating our pot a little bit to cause that soil to settle down around the roots. I'm going to take you guys in for a close-up here, and that you guys can see we started with soil that's a mixture of potting soil. You guys can see we have a lot of leaves in there. We have a bunch of little sticks in there. This is a mixture of soil from one of our raised beds. This soil has been in one of our raised beds for an entire grow season now. The organics that were at the bottom of the raised bed have completely broken down. If you guys can see, these leaves are broken down. These stems are broken down. This is some really, really, really loose and loamy soil because of all of the sticks, stems, and leaves. But it's also a fertile soil, so we won't be fertilizing this sago palm tree at all. If you know anything about growing sago palm trees, you know that they don't require a lot of fertilizer. They don't even, in fact, it's recommended that you don't even fertilize your sago palm trees until they're at least 1.5 to 2 years old, and at that point you only want to fertilize them once a year with a watered down solution of some type of cellular fertilizer. At any rate, this mixture that we have in this pot is very loose, loamy. It's a lot of organics, broken down and composted down organics in this soil. And this soil is moist. You guys can see this is a moist soil. So we won't be watering this sago palm tree at all. Again, sago palm trees do not like to have their feet wet and moist and soggy soil. So we won't be watering this sago palm tree at all. It may be 2, maybe even 3 weeks before we come back and actually water this sago palm tree for the first time. We're going to wait till this soil gets almost completely dried out before we come out here and we give the sago palm tree any water. Remember that when you grow sago palm trees, they do not like to have their feet wet. Sago palm trees are from the desert. They're from places where it's arid and dry and they don't get a lot of rain at all. This soil is really not the correct soil to be growing this sago palm tree in. It really should be planted in a soil mixture that really consists of more sand than what I have in here. But what I'm going for right now is swift root development. I want these roots to develop swiftly in this container. I want these the foliage to continue to grow rapidly. So I'm using a loose and loamy soil right now. We're growing inside of our high tunnel greenhouse. We're going to keep the inside temperatures during the rest of the fall and winter here at about 72 degrees consistently in here. So this sago palm tree will continue to grow at a rapid pace here. So we're going to sit it back up here on this table at this time. It sits beneath this circulation fan, as you guys can see right here. We propagate a lot of things here on this propagation table here. We'll bring you guys back in about another 2 to 3 weeks to show you the growth progress of our now about 50-day-old sago palm tree. Thanks for watching, and if you currently do find yourself watching this video on potting our now 50-day-old sago palm tree and not already subscribed to the Green Thumb Gardening channel, please take a moment to press that subscribe button beneath this video, the like button, the notification button, and be sure to share this video with your friends and family as well. Thanks for watching.